Hello and welcome to the Giants Backlog podcast. This is your place to go for all things Costume Quest. This is your authoritative source for Costume Quest and everything about Costume Quest. But actually, this is a podcast where four friends got together, decided to do their backlogs, and want to hold each other accountable in doing it. So, if you could, we strongly suggest uh, playing along with us, liking, commenting, sending us feedback, questions to our email, which will appear on the screen. And I'm joined by my friend Paul,
Hey.
and I'm also joined by Alec,
Hello, everyone of the internet.
and I'm joined by my other friend John,
Howdy doody.
and also Alex, also my friend.
Oh, I thank you.
So, as you might have guessed, this week's episode is Costume Quest, which was my pick, and we're excited to jump into it. However, to build the suspense, we always start with a completely irrelevant topic to the game we're playing. So, this week, the topic I want to pose to you guys as kind of an icebreaker, an opening act, is gaming on the go. I'm going to be traveling fairly soon, so I want to ask you guys what your habits are when you're traveling. Do you still game? If so, how? What platforms? Do you mobile, Switch, Steam Deck? Do you bring a system with you?
Can I
And
start?
what games you like to play when you're traveling around, whether it be for holidays or work or anything?
Can I start with a saga of the Alec Gradle travel gaming experience? All right, so we're gonna take a trip back in time to the Game Boy SP. We could go further back, but we're gonna start with the SP because that is honestly to this day probably the best handheld console of all time. I'm putting that statement out there right now. You got the backlight. It fits in your pocket. The pocket-sized Game Boy fits in your pocket. You flip that shit open, be like, "Look at my Pokemon." Like that was the epitome of gaming in my nostalgia-filled eyes. Then I transitioned to the Vita, and so that became my gaming habit for the longest time until Sony stopped supporting it. Sony, release a new handheld. People will buy it. Not many, but people will, and they'll love it. I played Severed on that shit, and I played the big one, and Jay, the big one, Persona 4 Golden. One of the greatest games of all time, as the Giants all agree. And except, yeah, yep, all four of us love Persona 4 Golden. Every single one of us. Um, but so I love the Vita, but I think Switch is the way to go in the modern day. Now, that being said, we only have one Switch in this household, and I'll say that for travel purposes, the backlight isn't great, so I might spring for the OLED to get two so that we can both play and everything. But overall, I'd say the Switch, and Pokemon's coming out soon, but it's a baby game that you don't like.
So, let me ask you this. As a grown ass man, I always
Mm-hmm.
feel awkward whipping out a Switch on an airplane. Like, I feel like I'm going to be judged. Do you get that at all?
No, no. I mean, I get it, but no, I feel like
You have
I've seen a
strangers
ton of
sitting
grown.
next to you and you just pull out a Switch and start playing a
Yeah,
baby game like Pokemon?
I mean, I have my phone open and there's manga on it, so they can fucking they can judge me all they fucking want on this plane. But I'll have my manga and my Switch, and we'll have a great ass time for me.
Sitting next to a stranger on a plane is exactly why I pull out the Switch or the Steam Deck, so they don't fucking try to talk to me and make small talk for three. That's the worst.
I know.
When they it's like, oh, I'm playing on my game. Leave me alone.
Because people start to try and fill that void. But
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're gonna sit by Emily anyway. But bring your Switch. Bring your Switch.
Pretend like I'm asleep.
But now you can pretend that you're awake and playing your Switch.
Yeah, I mean, if Emily does it, it's cute. If I do it, I'm a fucking creeper, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think for sure you're getting judged. In reality, people our age, maybe not. People our age and younger. But, all the olds on the plane, for sure. But, same thing with just having this podcast. They judge us for playing video games at our age anyway. So who cares?
Yeah. I guess I'm self-conscious on airplanes in specific for some reason. So typically I'll read a book or watch a show instead of a game on the airplane. But in terms of traveling, I used to go on work trips all the time. And I would pack my fucking Xbox in my checked bag. Every time I packed in my checked bag, TSA would go through it, and I get that little note in there saying your bag was randomly searched. But yeah, if I'm there for a week, I'll plug it into the TV in the hotel, come home after work, and game.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to do on work trips if you don't like the area. I mean, going to the bars with your coworkers gets old after a couple days, so.
Yep.
But yeah, as a kid, I'm with you. I would love the drive to Florida. It was 22 hours, and it was my favorite part of vacation because I got 22 hours of straight Pokemon time.
Oh yeah, man. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and then going to visit family for holidays too.
Yep.
I'll bring a console
on the
plug
SP.
it in my bedroom. When they go to bed, I'll be gaming.
On the SP though, can we have a little segment where we rank or we each share our favorite handheld of all time, like travel handheld?
The DS was pretty good.
DS was
the Game Boy Advance
pretty
XP,
awesome.
Also very good. Game Boy Color and Game
those
Boy
are
Original.
those are.
I mean, those were my first gaming system.
Same.
That's all I got was Game Boy Color and Pokemon Blue.
I got so I joined in the next gen, and I got my first ever Game Boy was the Game Boy Color with gold, the little vintage one, and I wish I still had it because I'm sure that was worth $100 nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Still, just for the vintage, it had the little Pikachu on it whose cheek would light up. It was awesome, man.
Another thing I like to do when traveling is with Game Pass Ultimate. It's really great because I can stream right to my phone. So if I don't feel like the hassle with all the backing up the console and everything, I'll just bring my phone and a controller, play Xbox games right on my phone. It's great. I've been doing that for Pillars of Eternity when I go on trips, so play it on my phone. So
do you play it on the phone itself, or do you play it with the controller?
You play it with a controller.
Nice.
Yeah, you Bluetooth the controller to your phone, and
yeah.
I got Paul and myself last Christmas, or maybe the Christmas before, a little bracket you put on the controller, and you can mount your phone right on top.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's super nice.
And then now,
awesome.
I haven't gone on a trip yet with Steam Deck, but I'm excited for that because you can also get Game Pass on Steam Deck and also access all your Steam games. So it's just another thing. Now I have to pack both my Switch and my Steam Deck. So,
well, if you don't want to play Pokemon, then you got.
I still have to finish Fire Emblem Three Houses. I've been dragging.
Dude, it's good. I like it.
I made the wrong decision, and so I have to go back and replay hours.
Oh no!
For my last save, so I've been hitting the wall because I wait so long every time I go back. I forget which save it is, and it's just such a pain in the ass. The I picked the one with Edelgard, so I made the wrong choice. And then I played a couple hours and was like, oh shit, I need to go back.
I just played with that house the whole time.
Well, yeah, I played with that house, but I made the wrong choice in the end game. I sided with the wrong
Oh,
side.
gotcha. There's no wrong choices, Jay. You just gotta accept the consequences.
I want to hear from John.
Yeah, I haven't had a handheld or anything to take while traveling in a while. As a kid, I had Game Boy Advance was my first one, and then the Game Boy SP was an absolute game changer with that backlight. Because remember on the Advance, you had that top light that was like the
Yeah,
attachment.
the
And
reading light.
Yeah, and it would always die. Like
It drained your battery even
so
faster too.
fast. That thing sucked. Like even as a kid, I didn't like that at all. And then you're like searching for like a sunny spot to play it. But like when I got my SP, that was a game changer. Funny story about my SP. I actually won my Game Boy SP out of a stacker machine when I was at a skate party for my my elementary school. So that was
That's
like
awesome.
yeah, that was like one of my proud moments as a kid. I ended
That's
up
freaking awesome.
yeah showing that thing off, and it was cool too. I think I got it in the closet maybe too. In my or it might be in the basement now in my like memory box or whatever. But yeah, that was really cool. And same thing. I don't even know what I had for it. I had like one Street Fighter game for it, and then I had it was mostly Pokemon, right? Like I think that's what
Yeah.
everyone played on it all the time. Hundreds of hours. I can
Yep.
pull out my Emerald. My Emerald has like 600 hours on it. I got like 50 level 100s. Yeah, it was
Yes.
fun.
What about nowadays? Do you game when you travel?
No, I don't even have a laptop.
Yeah, but
So,
you play Hearthstone and stuff, don't you?
oh, true, on mobile. Yeah, I still play. Yeah, I play. That's like the only game I play on my phone other
RuneScape
than
on your
like.
phone too?
Yeah, that's true. I still do that. True, true. I haven't done that in a while, but yeah, I almost forgot that RuneScape has a mobile app. It's good though. Good for like your mindless grinds. Can't really do anything quick intensive on it, but there's a
Last
lot
but
of mindless grinds in that game.
last but not least, Paul, what are your on-the-go gaming habits?
Yeah, I was also a Game Boy kid. Um, the system I have the most nostalgia for is the GBA, like you guys talked about. Um, I don't remember any specific games, like yeah, Pokemon and some other dumb pixel ones. Um, I just like I'd get a game and it'd be like, "Hey Arnold, the game," which I don't know if you guys, and it's just like like that's the only game I had, so I just played the shit out of it because I just didn't get new games. I'd get like 3 or 4 games a year max. So like no matter what it was, like how big of a piece of shit game it was, I just played it because it was the only thing I had.
That's such a good point. Can we talk about that for a second? How every
Yeah.
single game was fun back in the day. Didn't
Yeah,
matter
everything.
how bad it was. Every game I could sink 100 hours into and just love.
And I think
God,
Jay's
being a
talked
kid's so
about
nice.
like
Yeah, I miss
just
being a
never
kid.
beating games as a kid. Like I definitely never got past like the second or third level of that Hey Arnold game, but I played the shit out of it.
What about nowadays? What do you do, Paul?
So I have a Steam Deck, I have a Switch. I have an old laptop with a discrete GPU, so I take all of that stuff with me when I travel. Depending on what games I've identified that I want to play. I don't know. I beat Celeste on a plane,
It's a good one.
but I love gaming on a plane because I hate airplanes. It's uncomfortable. I get the middle seat, but I take out my Switch and I turn on Celeste, and I'm not in the airplane anymore. I'm parkouring up a mountain, so it just
With
makes
mental
the flights.
illness.
Yeah, so it makes the flights go by faster. I don't have to talk to the people next to me about work because that's all anybody ever wants to talk about is either sports or work.
Kids.
I can't-
People love talking about the kids.
Well, I can't. Yeah, I don't want to talk about any of that. I don't want
Got your 2 cats and a dog you can mention.
I just don't want to small talk with this.
House projects. People love talking about house projects.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
4 things people love talking about suck.
Yeah.
School, if they're in school.
Yeah,
I
never
love
bring
talking
a
about
full
sports,
system.
though. I'll talk about sports with anybody.
Yeah, I'd rather be gaming. But
Comment on this video with your sports questions for John.
I give good answers.
like I'm into the cloud gaming if the hotel has good enough internet. Like I played Halo Infinite on my phone. I beat Inscription on a laptop on a work trip. I used to travel a lot more, but COVID killed a lot of that. But yeah, I'm a fan. I'm just a fan of handheld gaming. Like I'll bring the Steam Deck out into the living room, and my wife will be watching TV, and I'll be playing on my Steam Deck. I don't know. I just like to sit back, hold it in my hands. Maybe because that's how I like the first 10 years that I gamed. That was predominantly how I played was stuff on Game Boy.
Yeah.
Before I got like a PS1 or 2.
There is something to say about that. Your significant other wants to watch some garbage TV, and
It happens literally every day of my life.
you
Like now I'm trying to play God of War and
you don't
my
have
God,
the
struggle.
setup that Alec has with 2 TVs, so you can just pull out your Switch and or your Steam Deck and spend time together without having to
watch
make your brain
TV.
turn to mush.
it is nice. It is a nice setup.
Yeah. And we can all sympathize with you, Paul, since we're all giants. Airplanes universally suck. I think I always get the aisle seat, and always my knee has to go in the aisle. There's no way around it, and always the drink cart hits it.
Yeah, and your shoulder.
They'll fucking
That
slam
happened to
into
me.
it and not even say sorry.
Yeah.
They'll just be like,
Oh, yeah.
move your leg. It's like, where am I going to move my leg?
That's me
Yeah.
with my shoulders because I've got giant shoulders because I'm a giant too. And like on the 8-hour flight to France, just like boom, boom. Every time people are walking down to go to the bathroom or the drink cart, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting in this chair with my giant shoulders.
Yeah, the worst part for me, because I'm a giant, I gotta buy 3 seats. You know?
Exit rows are the only way to be
I've
comfortable.
legitimately seen people do that. And then you know what ends up happening? Someone has a kid and they didn't get seats together, so they ask that guy, like, can we trade seats? And he's like, actually, these all 3 are mine. I've seen that happen. And like the dad was about to fight this guy because he wanted to sit with his kid and his wife. And this guy had all 3 and wouldn't like trade with them.
If I had the money to buy 3 seats, hell yeah. If anyone wanted my seat, yeah, I'm fighting them. Should have had a little bit of foresight and gotten seats together.
Yeah, it's like an extra $30 to pick your seats together. Like,
yeah, it's like,
and it's you know how much it is to buy 3 seats together, the same as you would have paid for your 3 tickets.
Yeah, but it's free if you fight the guy for his seat. So
My old boss was a bigger guy, and he would always upgrade his ticket to whatever, not first class, but the one under it, so that he'd have more room for his belly.
I always do that too if it's less than $50.
Yeah,
I'm flying for work because I'm expensive.
Guess who just got Delta Silver status?
You're too close to people. I mean, like, I don't know how they haven't figured it out to where they can spread it further out, but
just make the plane wider.
but then they'd add an extra chair.
They would just cramp. Yeah, exactly.
Well, if they made the plane wider, they probably wouldn't fit into the airplane lane.
Yeah, the airplane hole.
I hope you
Okay.
get upgraded all the time now, Grado. Congrats on silver.
Thank you.
Hot takes. Let's do it. Let's start with Paul.
Hot take. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I kind of felt like this was a reskin of Psychonauts, at least in terms of presentation. What's the guy's name from Double Fine? Tim
Schaefer.
McGraw.
Yeah, Tim Schaefer. Yeah, Tim McGraw. Tim Schaefer. It's like, all right, Tim. How many people worked on this game? Like, it seemed like they grabbed a lot of, and I don't know about game development, but it seemed like they grabbed a lot of assets from.
Well, I'll tell you about game development in a few minutes. Gradle, hot take.
It seemed like a small project, but I think it delivered for what it was. It was cute. I liked the.
That hot take sucks. You're just explaining the game. John, hot take.
The target audience for this game is 7 and under.
All your guys' hot takes suck.
Is this not a target audience of 7 and under? I felt like this game was trying to explain how Halloween works to children.
Okay.
I don't know. Game was super inoffensive.
Okay.
I thought this was like a tutorial for how trick-or-treating worked.
Okay.
This game belongs on the shelf of a museum as one of the top 100 games of all time.
What?
It's an interesting hot. That's a hot take he liked.
That's a lie.
It's a good hot take.
It's hot.
I think this is the top 10 Halloween games of all time.
Hot takes is hard, man.
My hot
It
take
hard.
is that quick time events are fun.
It keeps you engaged. Yeah.
Well, let's get into the game. So this is a game where you're kids and you go trick-or-treating and your sister gets stolen by the Grubbins, and it's got perfect Halloween vibes. If you played it before Halloween or in the month of October, this will be great to fit into your rotation.
Would you consider it a cozy game?
It is cozy, I would say. The whole premise of the game is you're getting different costumes. These cute little kids put on the costumes, and when they get into a turn-based battle, they become what their costume is. So, a giant mech, a vampire, unicorn, French fries. It's got it all. A little bit about the development of this game. It's a Double Fine game, which most people associate with Tim Schaefer, like Paul. But actually, the lead designer on this game was a lady named Tasha Harris, who was a former animator at Pixar. Double Fine also has made games like Psychonauts, Brutal Legend, Full Throttle, Broken Age, Iron Brigade, The Cave. Tim Schaefer, before starting Double Fine, made games like Grim Fandango, Day of the Tentacle, etc. There's a bunch of games.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have kind of a unique look, a unique style that is kind of a through line between all their games. I wouldn't say it's a reskin Psychonauts. I don't think that's
No, it's just
fair.
the art style because they have the artists.
Yeah, that's kind of their fingerprints on it, you know. So at Double Fine, they have this thing called Amnesia Fortnights. And the idea is whatever game they're working on currently, stop working on it for 2 weeks. Forget that you're working on it since the amnesia. 2 weeks for the fortnight. And split up into 4 teams and make game demos. So this actually was born of that amnesia fortnight that they took during the development of Brutal Legend. After they finished Brutal Legend, they looked at what they made, and this one got greenlit to be a small downloadable game on, I think, Xbox Arcade.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. I like that a lot.
So
it definitely seems that way.
Tasha Harris said that she considers this game to be influenced by Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, Earthbound, and Pokemon, which you can kind of see. She also said she wanted to make a game that was like RPGs that she loved growing up, but modernized so that it looks cool to people and people enjoy it now. Now, when this game came out was 2010, October 19th, 2010. This was a game that got completed in less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
So they took the concept from that Amnesia Fortnite and made it into a cute little downloadable game for the Halloween season. That's pretty much all I got about development. What do you guys think about the art style, music, storytelling? Any thoughts?
The storytelling was cute, and I liked the dialogue, and I found it funny at times. I found it was too easy to accidentally skip cutscenes, though. I found myself accidentally doing that like a lot. I don't know why.
Any other thoughts, guys?
For me, the art style, I didn't like it at the beginning. Just wasn't a fan of what it looked like aesthetically, I guess. Grew on me a little bit as the game went on. That's not my favorite. Talking about the cutscenes and stuff, the same as always. The word bubbles, they just went by too fast. Like I just missed stuff. Unless I was like trying to speed read them. I mean, in some of the spots, especially at the beginning, which is a take that probably makes me look like an idiot and slow reader, but whatever. I think they could have left them on the screen a little longer.
It was kind of fast there at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Not for me, because I'm not an idiot or slow reader, though.
Oh, damn.
And Paul,
I thought the dialogue was funny. Like, if you took the time to read it, John, you might have chuckled a few times.
I read it.
But
and there was a couple spots where I was like, hey, that was a joke.
Yeah, I thought the art style just, it looks like Psychonauts, or I guess any of their other games. And
yeah, like almost like a Psychonauts reskin.
I think it was really a Psychonauts reskin, yeah.
I thought the music was just okay. It was forgettable, and that was a little disappointing because I was thinking about Persona 5 when I was playing this, and like the music during those fights is so intense, and I just didn't get that kind of feeling during the battles in this game.
Okay, well, let's jump right into the battles then. It was turn-based, but they added a wrinkle to it where you either had to do a quick time event or mash a button or move the stick around. What do you guys think about this turn-based type system with that had you actually be active?
I think that quick time events in turn-based combat is one of the best things you can do to keep your player engaged. and I think it started in like Super Mario RPG when I was like looking back at this. And I'm a turn-based nerd, as you probably know by now. So it was definitely something that I can see like more games should implement like this. Any kind of like interaction of some kind. It doesn't have to be every single time, but like Persona does it every once in a while. You'll get like a quick time event or something, right? And that's good too. But yeah, anytime you can engage the player on a battle level, I think they did really well. That being said, I did overstay its welcome, so I didn't need to do it every attack and every defend for the whole length of the game. So I felt like I liked it as first, and then I slowly like got sick of doing the same thing over and over again, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I was sick of it from the beginning. I wish I could have turned it off in the settings. I think used sparingly, like it is in Persona 5, it's fine. But the thing that makes turn-based combat interesting to me is like in Pokemon or Persona when you're doing those elemental damage types and you're getting one more is because you attacked in a certain way, or those combo attacks when you knock all of your enemies down in Persona are just so cool and so stylish in the music. So I don't know, I didn't really like the quick time events. I just found myself in the same cycle of basic attack, use an ability, basic attack, use another ability, just over and over. And some of the fights were really long too. Like I'd be doing that for, I don't know, 10 minutes for a couple of the bosses at the end of the game. It just took a long time. And I don't know, I did not want to just have to pay attention to get the timing just right. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on the battle system.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I go to scratch my nose or something and miss a quick time event or miss a block, and I'd be screwed. Or, I mean, I like to do things while I play a turn based game, so I prefer being less engaged. Like, I can set it up, press A while I'm eating, and get through some battles that way, or, you know, have a football game going on my phone that I can just like queue up the turn-based combat and fight through it while I'm multitasking. So for me, I actually didn't like it either. I wish it would have just been a basic turn-based game without it, and I actually found myself using the ones that didn't have the quick time event. I would use the button mash costumes or the move the stick costumes because it was just easier to do every time. Not have to pay as much attention.
Not because you actually like their special or anything.
No, I just would have all the ones with the wiggle the stick, and I just like be wiggling the stick.
All three.
Okay. What did you guys think about the exploration?
I will start. I liked it. One thing I really liked about this game was you got new costumes and you could switch costumes to use an ability of the costume to aid an exploration. I thought that was clever and it made me, switch and use the different costumes and kept me from falling into that trope of like finding my three favorite and using them the entire game. So I thought that was pretty well done and a clever way to make you use all of the costumes in your repertoire.
I liked that the areas were small, and that I wasn't just getting lost all the time. Even if I needed to find that last house, I could go up, 3 streets and just find the one with the lights on. So, like when you have to explore, when exploration's a major part of the game, and finding things is a major part of the game, and the area is so large that if you skip something or miss something and have to go have to retrace your steps through this large area, I find that annoying in a lot of games. Whereas, like in this, it was nice and small. If I missed something, I go back and get it. One thing that I didn't like, which is something that I feel like a lot of games do, is, well, one, it was there was candy in everything, right? So you hit mailboxes, you hit uh, fire hydrants, garbage cans. There's candy in everything.
How
And
long did you do that for?
Huh?
How long did you do that for?
Well, I hit basically everything I came across,
Oh my
and
god.
I feel like that's something a lot of people do, right? It's like it's collecting, it's it's fun, but when you realize that there was no reason you did it, it's annoying. Yeah,
That was my point.
Yeah,
I stopped after
Yeah.
because I'm getting one or two apiece. I'm like,
you get
whatever.
one for everything you hit,
Yeah.
and if at the end, or not at the end, if there was like a reason to do it, it would be fine. But if you didn't do that a single time and just fought the Grubbins and got their candy, you'd have way more than enough. So like having that kind of thing in a game is fun if it's meaningful.
Yeah, like each one hit was more impact in terms of the battle, right? Instead of 800 for one battle and one for hitting, reduce that battle down or increase the hit. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
What do you guys think about finding the chests with the costume pieces or the candy?
That was
in
fun.
them?
Yeah, like Paul said, I mean, I liked the fact that I had to think of like, oh, here I got to use the light or I got to use the shield to like progress into this next area or get the thing I need to get. So that was fun collecting the costume parts, and I guess going door to door was probably the weakest part for me in terms of like the questing, because I liked talking to all the people and everything and getting those types of quests, finding the kids and those other
the
quests.
quirky
But
dialogue from
yeah,
just talking to the random like that was my favorite part of the game was just walking around talking to these NPCs, bobbing for apples.
yeah, bobbing for apples was good. But yeah, I think the weakest part was the main part of the game of going house to house and like, oh, do you get candy at this one or do you have to battle in the combat system?
I did find it funny though that like throughout the entire game, even on the 50th house, on the 50th door you're knocking on, you knock on the door and then it's the music, dunna dunna, or whatever it was, and it's just leading you into what's it gonna be? Is it gonna be the candy or is it gonna be a fight? And it's like the fights weren't hard enough for it to be like such a negative trade off or like so much suspense in the music. That's what it was. It was suspenseful music every time you knock on a door, which I thought was funny because like either way, who cares?
Right.
But just talking about the chests, I liked the chests for costumes, like for all the points you guys said, but for the same reason that I didn't like hitting the mailboxes and stuff like that. One of the reasons for that was that there were these chests that gave you more candy anyway, and you need to find them because you're not going to not click on it. There might be a costume piece in there, and so it's one of the reasons that the hitting the random objects was pointless. If there were only costume pieces in the chest, I think that would have been better.
I agree. It was always a bummer to open one of those, and it's like, well, 50 candy, sick.
Yeah.
What was
And we just don't have
everybody's?
the childhood glee that these kids have when they get their candy. Because
I did. I was.
Oh, you did one?
Eating my
Were you
candy
s-
corn.
Were you sitting there with a bowl of candy next to you every time you got a chest with candy in it? You're
Yeah.
like, oh, yay!
20
I get to eat
pieces.
50 pieces.
Oh,
What was everybody's favorite costume?
Oh, it's so tough.
Mine's pretty easy. My favorite costume was the robot because in the overworld you get to move fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I always
liked-
would switch back to the robot to just traverse.
I had the robot on. Yeah, mine's also the robot because I had it on at all times for traversal, and the special was like the most overpowered one. It burned them and did splash damage.
I think the vampire was the most overpowered special.
I
Yeah,
didn't even unlock the vampire.
I had vampire, unicorn,
It did
and
damage
robot.
and it healed you at the same time.
That's what when you said vampire earlier, I was like, there was probably a lifesteal. It was probably a lifesteal costume, which sounds pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, the vampire was OP. My main party was robot, knight, and unicorn. For
Really?
most fights. Yep, I thought the knight was good. He was tanky and he could shield the unicorn or the robot. But then, yeah, 2 quick time events.
I thought the ninja was kind of pointless.
I liked Ninja.
Ninja was good for the boss battles where they target people.
Yeah.
My main party was pumpkin.
Oh, pumpkin was
What do you
interesting.
call it? The vampire and the fries.
I never
Throw that
used a
salt.
single one of those abilities.
Was the fries good?
I never used a single one of those costumes in a fight.
Yeah, the fries was good because it was just the move the stick one, so that was easy.
And the special stunned everyone for a full turn.
It stunned everybody.
Oh.
I did a stun lock for Lucy where I would put her stamp as the stun stamp, and then their fry costume would be her special, so I would just keep throwing stuns with her the whole time.
I used that one too. Egg on your face, or whatever it was called.
Yeah, it was egg on your face, and then the 2-ply TP was the better version.
Well, now, and I do want to say I played Costume Quest 2 as well.
Oh.
And they made it so you always have the rollerblades, so you don't have to swap out of your costumes.
That's
nice.
Smart. That's a good move.
Now, what was everybody's favorite stamps? We already started talking about it.
Okay.
What did everybody use? I'd stick to the basic ones, splash damage, more damage. Was my jam.
I didn't do buffs. I did the reply damage on the 2 people, and then I did the stun on the 3rd person.
Same. I had counterattacks, strong counterattack, and egg on your face.
Wow, look at us.
I didn't use those at all.
That's all I used the entire.
Yep.
I initially had splash damage on at one point, but I decided the splash was too little damage to be worth it. Because you do your regular damage to 1, and then you do 12 to the other 2, so I was like, nah, it's not good. Then I had power, strong attack increase, and that was pretty good actually, because that almost doubled your attack. You went from 60 to 100 when I was using it, so that was pretty good. But I figured, I could do 60 to 100, or I can use counterattack and just do 60 again. That seems like more. So I did that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would like to quickly talk about all the areas. So first off, you have your subdivision, Auburn Pine. Secondly, you have the mall, Autumn Haven Mall, and lastly was the fairground area. It was called Fall Valley. Do you guys have a favorite of the 3? What did you like about them? Just talk about it.
I don't know. I probably like the subdivision the most because it felt like just trick or treating on Halloween, because that's what it was. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty standard, and I don't know. It wasn't because you're using the most abilities or it was the most difficult to find stuff or anything like that. It was just the vibe of it was cozy. Just going house to house, trick or treating.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think I identified most with the first area of just overall best fit for the game and everything. The mall was fun to explore, and everything was fun to explore. But the first one, I was like, oh, this is where I fell in love with the game of like, oh, this is a fun Halloween game. You're in your neighborhood.
Yeah, there's a lot of charm with the neighborhood, and like you guys have talked about the cuteness of the game. I think that's like the most cozy area. I didn't like the mall as much because at least the first part is so dark, and they kind of introduce like you get the spaceman costume, and now you use the light and you walk slow. But and then yeah, first area was my favorite too. I'm on the same mind as you guys.
Okay.
Jay, did you have a different opinion?
No, I like the first area the most, but I did also
Wow.
like the fairground. It's just kind of cute and funny with the what is it called? The cannon. You have to shoot yourself out of. Uh, yeah. So your sister gets stolen because she's or brother, depending on if you picked male or female, gets stolen.
What did everyone pick?
Picked male.
I picked Ren.
I picked male.
Female is Ren.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I picked Reynolds.
So, she gets taken because she's dressed like a candy, and these grubbins are taking all the candy.
Sorry, one sec. If you pick Ren, is Reynold the candy then?
Yep.
Oh, okay. For some reason I was thinking about this during the game. I was like, did they already have their costumes on in the house or no? And I was thinking that they did, and I was like, so did they steal a robot then? And what's your ability if you're a candy corn?
So candy corn is a costume in the second game. It's kind of funny. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't move. It just says quippy one lines every time it gets its turn, which gets old pretty fast. But there's an achievement called Hard Corn mode, and you have to fight every battle in the game with candy corn in your party. So I did it, of course.
I knew for a fact there was going to be an achievement for that, because why the hell would you have it on? Why would you have it on so long that the one-liners got old if there was no achievement?
Yeah.
It's the same like 10 one-liners.
Yeah. Well, there was actually a lot of them, but you do a lot of fighting in the game. Like, it says stuff like, this is Candy Corn's good side, or Candy Corn is, I don't know, candy corn has less sugar than a raisin. I don't know. It says stupid shit.
Is that true?
I don't know. That's just what it said.
I don't think so, but
candy corn is not amused.
I don't want to express any facts on this podcast for our viewing audience that must fact check us.
I will say, here's a fact: those one-liners were witty.
You meet Dorsilla, which is the witch behind the whole scheme, and you find out that they're going to the mall to take all the candy from the mall, so you follow them there. And then some way, I don't remember, you end up at the fairground after that.
Does Dorsilla... No, you take the bus or whatever.
And then at the end of the game, you fight Dorsilla and Cadaverous Big Bones. What you guys think about the final bosses?
I thought it was funny when they got to the final boss of Big Bones, and he can't get out of the portal. He's like, oh,
eating too much candy.
Yep. So I guess I'm just staying here, and this is your fight.
Yeah.
That one was funny.
Any other thoughts about the boss?
I couldn't believe when Dorsilla multiplied a second time. I thought they'd be like a one and done, and then I was like, "What?"
Every time.
And then
Yeah,
that
you
fight
gotta
was so
focus on.
long.
You gotta like and I figured this out too late, where I would try and kill her clones for the first like 2 times she did it, and then I was like, really, I need to be focusing on her 90% of the time, because when she summons the clones, they're gonna be smaller and smaller and smaller. So like
Yeah.
you gotta chip her down as fast as possible.
Did you guys wait? So I never had her multiply a second time, but when she did, let's say she multiplied the first time and she had 3 clones out there, she could multiply again and have like 7 clones out there.
No, it's she just respawns the clones
Oh, okay.
when
Yeah.
you kill them.
Until the final boss, I always ran. I think it was robot, astronaut, Statue of Liberty.
Yep,
So
that
I
was
was
me too.
always just like super high damage focus.
Yep.
So yeah, like you said, I just focused her down. I never had her multiply a second time.
Yeah, because you didn't focus on her clones. That was the key, was not to focus on her clones.
That was a cool moment though. Like that was like an oh shit moment when it happened again. I was like, oh, I haven't played too many. I don't know if I've ever played a game where there's like a multiplying that happens on like a big, what I thought was final boss fight, and then they multiply it again. So I was just kind of like, whoa! It woke me up. I was doing those quick time events again.
And Jay was playing with the 3 stick characters, which was the Statue of Liberty, the Fry, and what was the third?
So the pumpkin, a stick character?
Yep. Pumpkin's a stick character.
Yeah, I swapped in for the vampire because it was too good. So
Yeah.
that was a button mash though, so I still didn't have to do the quick time event.
Yeah.
And then it ends, you get all the candy back, and you drive around with the bus with Dorcilla's brother,
Dorian,
and give all the candy back to all the kids. So let's get on to the reception of this game. So this game only award it won was best downloadable game at the 2010 Spike Video Game Awards. So back then, downloadable games weren't so common. You couldn't just go download a small game. You bought the disc, and these were kind of rare. So just a different time frame to look at this game in the lens of, like, in 2010, had we played this game, probably be pretty sick. And the reviews it got at the time, though, were all like 7s, 8, 6s. So, to be expected, I think. But speaking of reviews, what are the scores would we all give it? I want to start with Alec.
Knowing now that it was a 2-week idea and a 1-year game, it definitely makes sense and puts it into context. It felt very concise in what it was, but I thought it was cute, and the gameplay was fun at first but overstayed its welcome. So because of those factors, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. John, you're next.
Yeah, I thought this game had a lot of potential. The first time that the turn-based combat, you went in and you turned into the robot and you look over and your buddy's a knight. Like the first few times you're doing that, I thought it was really cool. Like the contrast in art style between the game and then you go into this and you got like this photorealistic. You got this like realistic looking transformer, if that's a real thing. I don't know how you have a realistic transformer, but anyway, like almost like a realistic, larger than life robot and a knight next to you. It's like, this is pretty cool, you know? but the combat, the way that the turn-based combat was set up, wasn't interesting enough. I don't think. I don't think the fights were interesting enough, and they became very repetitive throughout the game. There wasn't enough enemies. There wasn't, just stuff that if this was like a bigger game, I guess they probably would have added, but because it's such a small game, small team, whatnot, small whatever scope, uh, it's lacking in that way. And since that's the main, the main like gameplay, uh, it hurts from that.
Yeah, and we talked about it the last time where it really sucks when they just reskin the same 3 characters 3 times, and it's like, that's not 9 enemies, that's 3 enemies.
Yeah.
It's funny that you touched on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did enjoy it. This is the first game in a while I played on the couch, like on my console. And I think it probably gains points just because of that, because I think I enjoyed it more just because of that fact. But still, even with that, I'd give it a 5 out of 10.
Paul.
One thing that I really liked that I don't know if I touched on was just the concept of a kid wearing a Halloween costume, and then you go into a battle and it morphs into a full giant robot or a big bag of fries or a unicorn. And for how small of a game this was, like those animations were cool. And I think I would echo a lot of what you guys have said. Like, this was just a comfort food kind of game. Like, it's not my favorite candy bar, which would be like a Snickers, but it's not black licorice, my least favorite candy. It's like a Three Musketeers. It's right around the middle.
But Three Musketeers is bottom half.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're gonna put that in the middle. What's your quarter
rank,
and what's your 3 quarters?
3 Musketeers at the top, man.
I like
It's not the like.
I love Three Musketeers. I just Milky Way. Would Milky Way be the 3/4 mark if we're now ranking our candy scale?
I think so. And then Almond Joy is like your 50%er.
Is the 50%er?
I think
or
so.
The 1/4?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, for me, Three Musketeers is a 6 out of 10.
All right, 6 out of 10 for Paul. Well, I mean, we already talked about it, but that's what made me pick this game, is just how strong that pitch is, right? You got these cute little kids. Their costume is a cardboard box colored in with markers, and they go into a battle, and in their imaginations, they're a huge robot. That pitch on its own is so strong and compelling by itself. So,
well, South Park kind of took that with their Stick of Truth and whatever, right?
Yeah.
This was before those games, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they took it. But so as a concept, I think it's a 10 out of 10 concept. Now, when you get down to actually playing the game, it's not so fun. Did have some cute moments, did have some nice moments. And I enjoy a shorter game. If it's something I can get through that's not a daunting task, like I'll have longer games I'm playing, and then I need a break and I just need to do a short game. So it might be unfair, but some of these shorter games get bonus points for me just because of the ease of getting through it in a weekend or a night or a couple sittings. So that being said, I'm not a big fan of the Double Fine art style. Don't really like it. And I'm not a big Double Fine guy altogether. But just the pitch of this game sold me on it and made me pick it for this podcast. So I agree with you guys. I wouldn't put it at a 5, but I'll put it at a 6. My score is a 6 out of 10. And we hope that you will join us back in the next 2 weeks for the game that Paul is about to pick right now.
Okay, so I did a thing here, and Jay is the only one who solved
did
the
it?
puzzle.
Yeah, I solved it.
So
Wait, what did you do?
in our drive, on our episode list, I filled it out early, like a couple weeks ago. So the game I picked is there.
Oh.
Do you want me to announce it?
Yeah, Jay, go ahead and tell us the
Paul's pick for next podcast.
I'm gonna
is
find it.
Resident Evil 4.
Oh.
Let's co-op this.
Yeah. Wait, can we co-op it?
I don't know
Hell
if 4
yeah,
has
we can.
co-op.
Is it
Somebody
co-op?
I will stream it. I will give you this carrot, John. I'll stream it, and you can watch me stream it.
Grado's
I don't
going
even have
over
to play
there
it.
this weekend, and
Yeah.
they're
We're
gonna
gonna co-op it.
couch
We'll
co-op,
co-op
hand off
Yeah.
it.
But this is a series that I really got into with 7 when that came out. I played that in I didn't play it when it came out. I played it in 2018, and I really dug it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably the scariest game I've ever played.
Fuck
And
off. No.
Four,
that's
4
7.
isn't. 7
Yeah.
is.
4 is
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So let me finish. So I went back and I played 1 remake. I played
played
2
1 remake.
remake. I played 3 remake. I recently just finished Code Veronica, which doesn't have a remake. It's a game that came out in 2000. It's got old school tank controls, and man, it's just a game from a different era. It's one of the hardest games I've played in recent memory, just in terms of clunkiness and mechanics. I got to this boss, and I'd been saving in the same save file for 5 hours. It's a 10-hour game approximately. I did not have enough ammo and healing to beat this boss because it's I don't know, like, can I spoil it for you guys, or do you want to play it?
Which one?
Code Veronica.
Oh, I'm not playing it. John's not playing it.
I don't have to spoil it, but I got to this fight, and I did not have the resources to win this fight, and I had no prior save to reload. So I just I had to restart and play what I did over and like save ammo and save healing for that fight. So
Yeah,
I just never
sometimes you gotta
had
do
that.
that.
I don't know if I've ever had to do that before.
I only played Resident Evil 1, and this was when I was one-man alpha in my gaming loft, if you guys remember. And it was like pitch black, and so I'm pretty sure both of you at one point or another open the curtains, and I'm just like in there playing Resident Evil, and I get an extra jump scare, like, ah!
Yeah, so everybody, like, a lot of people say 4 is their favorite, and like that got them into the series. So I'm excited to play it before the remake comes out in February. And I hope I can get you guys into the franchise too, because it's one of the best in video games, I think.
Let me get this right. Resident Evil 4 Remake's coming out in February. In preparation for Resident 4 Remake coming out, you're gonna play Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, because I really want to play Resident Evil 2 and 3, but they're not available on modern platforms. Because they've cut some content in the remakes, and I don't know, it's just a little different. So I want to experience it all, man.
I thought you just said you played Resident Evil 2 and 3.
Remakes.
Oh,
Which
I
they're
completely
great games.
understand.
I'm looking forward to it. I've always started a bunch of Resident Evil games. I think the only one I finished was 5 or 6, I forget. So it'll be great that, Paul, you're forcing me to do 4, which is, everybody I ever hear talk about Resident Evil says it's their favorite one, and I think it's also one of the least scary ones. So that'll be good for John.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm looking forward to it. John, think of it like Hunt. There's just zombies, and you have a gun.
Yeah, but you need to save ammo and healing right here.
That was in Code Veronica.
Yeah, I think the ones, I think 4, 5, and 6. There's less of a focus on like that scavenging, more about action. But yeah, I'm excited. But that's it. So
Right on.
take us out.
Well, this has been the Giants Backlog, your place for all things Costume Quest. And we will see you next time for when we become your place for all things Resident Evil 4. Bye.
Bye, everyone.